Hello everybody and welcome back to week 8 of the NFL season. Today we are going to be going over the top 10 plays under 5%. The plays that I'm giving today are for large field, like Millie Maker style tournaments, because every single week when you check the winners of those tournaments, there's always some low-owned plays in there that you have to get different and to get leverage on the field. So I'm going to kind of go position by position. Usually I only pick like one or two at quarterback, running back, and tight end, as usually the low-owned plays come at the wide receiver position, and that's where I'll give most of my plays. But starting out at the quarterback position, I do like Sam Darnold this week. So coming off of 3 really bad games, I think a lot of people will be off of him. But, we've seen what he's done in the first couple games when they started out 3-0. When we look at his first 4 games, he was averaging like 25 fantasy points. He even had that big one against Dallas where he had 36 fantasy points, which is crazy. But now going against Atlanta, I do think he has plenty of upside. We've seen him rush for plenty of touchdowns this year, and I think it's a good time to play a lower-owned DJ Moore and go back to the well with Robbie Anderson with him. When we look at some other quarterbacks that have gone against Atlanta, Jalen Hurts threw 3 touchdowns against him. Brady threw 5 touchdowns against Atlanta. And then Heineke and Tua each had 3 or 4 touchdowns. This Atlanta defense is very generous to quarterbacks, so I do like Darnold quite a bit this week. Going to the running back position, I only have one play. Running back is the one position where you usually want to play the higher-owned. Like the Darrell Henderson is a really good play that'll be popular, but I still like him a ton. If you want a low-owned good running back play, I think Damian Harris going against the Chargers. We know what Brandon Staley likes to do with that Chargers defense, and that is just not give it up to the pass. And they force you to run the ball. They're a run funnel defense. They'll give it up to the short field, and what team does that usually better than anyone? That's the Patriots. They're using Brandon Bolden, and then of course Damian Harris on the ground, and I think he could have a big game. Now he because he doesn't catch that many passes, you do need probably a multiple touchdown game from him, but that's very possible against this weak Chargers run defense. I'll do wide receiver last because that's where I have most of my plays, but once again it's looking like Kyle Pitts is going to go way under-owned, and I don't know why, especially on a slate where you don't have like Waller or Kelsey. Like, Pitts is a reasonable price at $6,300. Atlanta is finally getting on the right track. They've realized, like, why are we running the ball with Mike Davis as many times as we are? Like, maybe we should get these very talented receivers we have more involved. And, I think Ridley and Pitts could both have good games, but Ridley is going to be pretty high owned, and Pitts, you should be able to get some leverage off of him. But when you look at Pitts's volume, I mean, he's getting wide receiver, like high level wide receiver 2 and low level wide receiver 1 volume. And he lines up, you're pretty much playing a receiver at the tight end position at only $6,300, and the tight end position, which can be such a crapshoot. And I do like TJ Hawkinson a ton this week as well, who should be fairly low owned. But then, like, when you get down here, it gets kind of ugly pretty quickly. So usually I tend to like paying up at the tight end position. But now let's get into the wide receiver position. The first receiver that I like this week at under 5% is going to be Tyler Boyd. So we've seen what Jamar Chase has been doing all season long. He's an absolutely incredible rookie. He's probably going to be setting some type of rookie records this year. And every week so far this year, it seems like at least one of these Bengals receivers has had like a really good game. Like I said, usually it's been Chase, but going against the Jets, I could see the Bengals trying to get Higgins and Boyd a little bit more involved. Higgins will be more popular this week, but Boyd is just great tournament leverage off of both the popular Chase and Higgins. So he's just a really good low-owned leverage play going against a very bad defense. The next 2 receivers, because they're both looking like they're going to be under 5% owned, and it's because of what we've seen the last 2 weeks from Geno Smith, and that's DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. But if you look back, like, Geno got thrown into the Rams game, and he actually looked decent. I think he had that really good drive, and I believe Metcalf had a touchdown with him. And then the Saints, who have a very good, like a top 3 defense in the league, Geno didn't look good at all, but Metcalf still had that big catch and scored. But now he gets to go against Jacksonville, who is by far the easiest defense he has played yet. And you still have these, well, Metcalf more of a stud than Lockett, but Lockett is always capable of just breaking a long one. And that's very, very doable against this Jacksonville secondary. Now, I don't really want to play any Geno Smith at the quarterback position, but I do like sprinkling in some Metcalf and Lockett as just one-off plays into my tournament lineups. I obviously prefer Metcalf slightly more just because he's only $700 more, and I think he's a much better talent. And it seems Geno has been looking his way more than Lockett. The next receiver that I like is going to be Courtland Sutton. Every single week I'm trying to target the Washington defense, who right now has the worst secondary in the entire league. Last week I believe I gave Allen Lazard as a good play under 5%, and he caught a touchdown. I think he didn't quite get tournament winning upside, but he still scored, I don't know, between 18 and 20 fantasy points at a pretty cheap price tag. Courtland Sutton is much more talented than Allen Lazard. I know Jerry Jeudy is coming back, but honestly I think that might just help Sutton. I don't think they just give Jerry Jeudy his full workload his first week back coming off that ankle sprain. I think they kind of ease him back in. Maybe they just use him as a decoy, which is just going to help Sutton even more. That's a very reasonable price tag for him. Sutton is one of my top tournament plays of this week. I'm going to have a lot of Courtland Sutton. The next receiver I like is going to be Big Mike Williams. So I don't know why. It seems like every week he's just under 5%. No matter what he has done, I guess they came off the bye, so people just aren't thinking about him. But we've seen him be the overall wide receiver 1 on the whole slate in 2 of the 7 weeks, which is only 6 of the weeks the Chargers have played. And he's still going low owned. And I get it, Keenan Allen is cheaper. That's why people are just pivoting Mike Williams to Keenan Allen. But that's what makes Mike Williams such a great tournament play, because you can have obvious tournament winning upside at such low ownership. Getting the upside like that at under 5% is exactly what we're looking for in these large field tournaments. So if you're going to give me a player like this, I'm definitely going to take it. So I like Big Mike. And then finally, the last time I gave out 2 low-owned Saints players, they both had long touchdowns. But now that Traquan Smith has returned, I do like playing one of these guys and mixing and matching them in some of my tournament lineups. I just think with how the Bucs offenses ran, where they just keep the gas on the pedal basically the entire game, like we saw against the Bears, they're up 31-3 in the 4th, and they're still out there running hurry up offense just so Brady can chase his, stats and set records. So Winston's going to be forced to just play keep up and sling it the whole game as well. You don't run on this Bucs team. They're very good at stopping the run. So I think he's going to be passing. Obviously, Kamara is his number 1 pass option, but I do think these are very, very reasonable price tags going against this Bucs secondary. And as long as it's not Kevin White or who was it, Kenny Stills, Winston had a beautiful ball to both of them that they both just dropped. But I do think if those balls were to Callaway or Traquan, they would have been caught. So I'm going to definitely be sprinkling in some of these Saints players. I'll probably even have a few Winston double stacks where I have Winston, Kamara, and then one of these 2 and run it back with Chris Godwin. But that's about it for this week's top 10 under 5%. Please comment your favorite low-owned play this week. Please leave a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the top stacks of the week. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.